This podcast is for entertainment purposes only and does not constitute professional advice. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are the speaker's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of their affiliated organizations.
Welcome back to Ready to Connect, everybody. I'm Lisa.
I'm Heather.
And I'm Ryan.
And today we are going to continue our series of interviews and stories from dynamic people with someone we met at the New Age Fair in Wethersfield. That was a wonderful place for us to meet some people to bring on our show. We're going to be talking to a kitchen witch, Emily Garland-Haberkorn, in a minute or so. But until then, what you been up to, Ryan?
Oh, wow. Okay. Let's see if I remember what happened. So there's an interesting story I wanted to tell both of you, actually, that happened this weekend. So I was out driving around, and I ended up getting lost. I didn't have the GPS on, and because I thought I knew the way where I was going, but apparently not. That's okay. Instead, while I was driving...
Wait, are you a typical man who won't stop for directions?
No. I wanted to try to figure it out.
All right, you want it. Okay.
I couldn't help it.
Let's face it, in Connecticut, you're going to end up on a main route at some point.
Eventually, yes. And so what happened is, as I was driving, and I realized I missed the turn, I was like, oh, geez. But I thought about when I was younger and driving with my grandmother and how we would just be out driving, and she was very good at just going with the flow and figuring it out. And so a little backstory here. There's a story that has passed down our family members here, where my grandparents were out in, Arizona, let's say. They were trying to get to a destination, and they took a wrong turn. And my grandmother was in the passenger seat telling my grandfather, hey, you know what, just follow that van. And he was like, okay, because he knew to trust her. So it was just a random van that pulled out in front of them. He followed the van, and the van ended up going exactly where they needed to go.
Okay, that's a cool story.
Yeah. So I was thinking of that, and I was at a stop sign, and I was like looking into which way, and I saw a bird, get up from the grass from where I was and fly down the road that was diagonally across from me, and I heard this way. And I was like, okay. So I just followed the bird, and I went and got onto the road that I needed to get onto.
So do you think the bird and the person said this way was your grandma?
I think it was her, yeah.
Very cool.
It was really cool, and it was just clear as day saying, like, this way, and I was like, oh, I'm going to follow that bird. I mean, I was interested in the bird anyway. So,
of course you are.
So, yeah, it got my attention.
I love it.
But, yeah, so I had to share that with both of you, because I was like, wow, what an interesting experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah, what about both of you? Anyone do anything fun or interesting this weekend?
I had a fantastic weekend. It started actually Thursday night and went all the way to Sunday.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
that's
once a year, there are 4 of us that gather in Springfield. Near Springfield, they have something called the StamperCon, which is basically a big convention, or used to be much bigger than it is now. COVID really did a number on it. As well as online shopping has done a number on it too. But a lot of vendors that carry different types of supplies for people who enjoy making their own cards or doing any kind of paper crafting, different kind of mediums gather to show you the new products, have you sample, try things out, and then, of course, purchase. So myself and 3 other ladies, Betsy, Kathleen, and Pat, I only see Pat and Kathleen really once a year. Betsy I see a little bit more often. We gather, we get a hotel suite that has 2 rooms. We basically explode all our art supplies into one room, and we spend the whole weekend creating, if we're not on the floor at the vendor place at the convention, looking around. So it was a weekend of just being creative with other creative souls and just having a good old fun time. You enjoy the hot tubs, you enjoy the food because we have a little kitchenette. So, it was just a great weekend, and so that was this past weekend, and it's for a while there when my kids were young, I kept missing them because my daughter's dance recital was always on that weekend. And I had to miss a full day, couldn't really do the stay over part kind of thing, but now that we're empty nesting, I could do that more often. So yeah, so that was my weekend. It was all spent with my fingers in ink and just glue and stuff. Laughing, having a good time. What about you, Heather? You had a good weekend?
Oh yeah, jumped in the car, drove myself down to Quanatog, put my kayak in.
There you go.
Paddled around, did a little fishing, just soaking up the sun. Still kind of recovering from that. Sunblock needed to be reapplied, and apparently I didn't reapply it. But It's okay to be red. I'll be rice white again soon. Did not get the Italian skin, so just soaking up the sun and just being near the water, it grounds me. So, and Quanatog is one of my favorite beaches or beachways to go to. Yeah, good weekend.
Great way to spend it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, let's bring in our special guest today, Emily Garland-Haberkorn, who has a business known as the Kitchen Witch Botanicals. So happy to have you here today, Em.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
I hope you're ready for all our questions.
Oh, I am.
All right, let's get right to it.
All right. So, for listeners who are just meeting you for the first time, who are you and what is Kitchen Witch Botanicals?
I'm Emily, but everybody calls me Em. Kitchen Witch Botanicals is a bisexual woman-owned business focused on all natural and organic skincare, organic herbs, spices, tea blends, crystals, and I also do handmade brooms, kind of my hobby turned, hey, do you want one?
Nice.
But yeah,
So
there's
you
something
make
for everybody, I
basoms.
think.
So you're making basoms. Do you sell them?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, incredible.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, it's a very meditative kind of thing, and it helps me to, if my, my mind's racing and I'm trying to just like be present in the moment, that's kind of the easiest way to do it, because I'm just so focused on, because it's like a whole body activity to make them. So, and then counting like, okay, I've done like 3 wraps. All right, now I got to like make it. It's a good way for me to like stop thinking for a second and focus on one thing.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to turn it off, right?
Yes.
So what first called you towards herbalism, plant medicine, and kitchen witchery?
The kitchen witchery came first. After college, I kind of felt drawn to cooking. I'm completely self-taught. And not to toot my own horn, but I turned out to be pretty good at it. Basically somebody once said to me, probably as a joke, but like, oh, look at you, you little kitchen witch. But something kind of went off in my head and I went, wait a minute.
Wait.
What? Maybe. So, it kind of took off from there. And, later I was having a reading done by a friend of mine, and well, she's a friend now. I had just met her that day, and I'd never met her before. And she told me that she saw me working as a healer with plants. And at the time I couldn't see it. So I just I filed it away and wasn't really thinking about it. And then COVID happened, and we were all really forced to sit with ourselves and kind of ask ourselves some questions and figure things out. And the herbalism kind of happened around then. I can't really pinpoint an exact moment when it happened. It was probably, middle of a doom scroll. You see a video and then all of a sudden you see another one, and then it's, the rabbit hole, off you go.
And then your subconscious is just screaming, this is my path, this is my path.
Exactly, yeah. So it really COVID, there's a silver lining to every cloud, and it kind of gave me the time to find my path. And I also kind of remembered when I was 13 or 14, I saw Practical Magic for the first time, and I remember seeing Sandra Bullock in her little apothecary and thinking to myself, yeah, I kind of want that. Like, that sounds like a great little life, and then I signed up for an intro to herbalism class, and that was it. Hooked.
Nice. Nice.
I think I read in some of the information we were passing back and forth that you're interested in pursuing herbalism.
Hey everybody, love Ready to Connect. Become a Patreon supporter for $1 a month, and that'll earn you a shout out or a credit roll.
Love Ready to Connect? Why not support us with a Ready to Connect enthusiast tier? For $5 a month, you get exclusive content as well as power voting on our next topics, in addition to everything you get as a Ready to Connect supporter.
If you love Ready to Connect and you want to become a Ready to Connect insider for $10 a month, in addition to everything that you'll get in the other 2 tiers, you will also get a chance to be a guest on our podcast. All tiers, no matter how you choose to support Ready to Connect, you will be getting the podcast episodes a day early.
Thanks for supporting us.
Yes, yeah, I'm working towards becoming a clinical herbalist. So right now, I just, I make stuff for friends and family, but ultimately I really like to develop that side of it and help people in a more profound way.
Could you possibly explain the difference between a clinical herbalist and a kitchen witch?
So, for now, the thing with herbalism in the United States that's kind of interesting is there's no real regulations, no regulatory body for it. There's the American Herbalist Guild, which is, they have their own very stringent and specific requirements for being a member and being listed as an herbalist on their page. You have to reach a certain amount of study hours and internship hours and things like that. But overall, unfortunately, anybody off the street can just say, yeah, I'm an herbalist, I can help you. And so, I'm working towards basically, I'm taking a lot of my classes through Herbal Academy. They're not paying me, but I will sing their praises to anyone that will listen. Their classes are so in-depth and I'm obsessed. But anyway, I'm working through their advanced course now, and then they have a clinical course after that. At which time I can start seeing clients, and I can really kind of start seeing people on more of a clinical environment. Right now it's, really just, like I said, friends and family, but eventually I want to help everybody. So.
Yeah.
Well, for now though, how can everyday cooking become a ritual instead of a chore?
I think that, it's all the little things. It doesn't have to be some big, big change that you make, some kind of, I think people blow it out of proportion a little bit. It can be something as simple as, oh, I have this specific candle that I light when I get into the kitchen and start cooking. Or, especially there's certain herbs that you can hold them and you can infuse them with your intention before you throw them in the pot. Bay leaves are incredible for that. And I think it's all about, and like stirring in your intention and really just kind of like focusing it. It doesn't have to be this like, oh, I have to make this big ritual out of it,
Well, it's a really great reminder as Reiki practitioners, right? We have them infuse Reiki into their food right out the gate, right?
Yeah.
And so not being Reiki trained, somebody listening to this not being Reiki trained, you're showing them, you're telling them how you can infuse your food with love and magic and positivity, right? Yeah.
I always say that love is found in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I think that's where it comes in. I think that's one of the greatest expressions of love that you can give to somebody is by cooking them something.
Well, they say the kitchen's the heart of the home, so.
Exactly.
Yeah,
For sure.
All this talk really reminds me of a class I took when I was getting my master's degree, and we were doing one on basically cooking, nutrition. Mm-hmm. And the person running it was saying the more holistic way to look at your cooking is honoring each step that you do.
Right.
Honor where that food came from, the farmers that grew the food, the people who are now putting it together, all that kind of stuff. And then when you sit down to eat it, then you have like a full appreciation for what's on your plate. And so that this intention to help you be more healthy is more evident.
Absolutely. I think it's tough in this, day and age where we've all got a million things going on at once, but trying to just find a few moments as you're cooking to just be present, you know?
When you're cooking, do you have like specific pots and pans that you like know that it's kind of like stoneware or like, cast iron where you've sealed it with so much, grease and love? Do you have your
Right.
specific pot?
Yes, I have a Dutch oven that I've had for like 10 or 12 years. And let me tell you, I've made some incredible things in it, but
Yeah.
it's definitely that's my cauldron.
Yeah,
I
for
have made
sure.
some really great stuff in it. And I have an old wooden kitchen spoon that I definitely kleptoed from my mom at some point, when I moved out and I was just like, you know what, I need a bunch of like kitchen supplies. Like, she's not gonna miss that, you know.
You know, I bet she did.
I bet she
Oh, and
did.
she did, yeah. She's like, I can't seem to find anything in the kitchen. And I'm like,
Oh, well.
oops, it's definitely not my kitchen. But yeah, I still have that one spoon and I use it, even if it's like, I try to be a little gentle with it because it's so old, but like, I'll at least try to get a couple stirs in with it just because I feel like it has such a soul to it that I want to use it a little bit. I'm not going to maybe do a hard saute with it, but
Right.
stir for some intention and then it, gets lovingly cared for and put away.
Yeah, yeah, I can empathize with that totally.
Absolutely.
What's your favorite thing to make? It may not have been on our list of questions, but I'm curious about this.
Yeah, no. So pork is my specialty.
Oh, yeah.
I make a braised pork tenderloin that is, I love it because it's versatile. You can kind of do just about anything with it. You can have it just like as it is. You can shred it up and put it in tacos, on a pizza. You can put it over whatever you want. And I usually make like 3 or 4 pounds at a time. So then I freeze some and then I've got,
So
it's
what
one of my
time's
favorites.
dinner?
I
Yeah.
know, right? We're coming
Yeah,
over.
right. I know. I actually haven't made that.
Let's get there.
We can stop by, right?
Right, absolutely. Dinner's usually around 6, okay?
Perfect.
Do you believe our ancestors naturally practiced forms of kitchen witchery without calling it that?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I think I don't think it has to be a conscious act. I think, like I said, the act of cooking for someone in and of itself is an act of love. And think about you make soup for your relative that's sick. I mean, that's a naturally healing and protective act, right? Like you're
Yeah.
infusing that healing and protection energy that you wish for them into that food.
Yeah.
So whether they put a label on it or not,
And that
I
goes
think,
across all cultures. I
yeah,
think chicken soup is
absolutely.
the soul, right? Chicken
Oh
soup is the
yeah.
soul.
I mean, when I'm sick, there's a Greek place down the street that does a lemon chicken and orzo soup that is absolutely a panacea for me. So
Yeah, for me, my go-to is always a tomato soup and grilled cheese.
oh yeah.
When I was sick, or even it's pure comfort food. But when I was sick, that's what I wanted. That and grapefruits.
Huh.
Yeah,
Well, the vitamin C, your body's probably craving it. So
yeah. Chocolate pudding too.
yeah, well,
Green Jello.
I think I
yeah,
actually yes.
I know somebody over
it
here.
is
that
the
likes
best
green Jell-O
flavor.
like me.
Yeah, green Jello. Is that all three of us? Yeah. Some of the chocolate pudding just might have been mom's feeling bad for me. What can I get?
Right.
So you had said, bay leaves is definitely like a staple for kitchen witchery. But like, what other herbs do you feel spiritually connected to, and why?
So oregano and thyme are two that I probably use the most, and I always have them growing in my garden. And garlic, obviously. I just like that all three of them are just known for being healing and for warming the body, and they're also antiviral and antibacterial. So it's really cool just to see the kind of medicine you can make just by opening your own spice cabinet. It doesn't have to be this like, oh well, I gotta go forage and like, which is wonderful if you have the opportunity, but there's stuff you can get in the spice aisle, you know, you can make oil of oregano, and it's like antibiotics. You can
For
make
everything.
you can make a cough syrup with thyme, and I found more effective than most, you know, over the counter stuff. And it doesn't have all the, you know, alcohol and chemicals and dyes in it that everything else has.
Do you forage bark for like birch bark for like tea and rubs and
So
stuff?
it's funny you mentioned that. I actually have in my yard, I have a cluster of 3 birch trees. And yes, I do. And unfortunately, they birch trees are on the decline, actually, in their kind of, I don't know if they've officially been considered, but they're definitely like becoming an endangered species. But when they die, they are a prime growing thing for chaga mushrooms. And I actually have chaga growing on the tree outside. And I'm gonna have to get a ladder and like to get it to cut it down. But I have like 3 clusters of chaga growing up there that all my herbalist friends are like, oh my God, go get it. It's so expensive. So
A
yeah.
gold mine there, right?
Gold mine.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But I mean, you know, you talk about foraging, occasionally, because there's so many weeds, you know, that are actually medicinal. People call them weeds, but really, you know, I had wild lettuce growing in a random pot. And I was like, oh my God, I've got like one of the best pain relievers ever, just like as a weed in a pot that I meant to, you know. So
In my yard, I have Queen Anne's lace growing,
yeah.
and I pulled them up over the weekend, and their carrots were
Mhm.
this long. They were at
Mhm.
least 3 inches to 4 inches long.
Yeah.
Queen Anne lace carrots taste a lot like parsnips,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
totally natural.
Yeah, I'm not a
Yeah.
plant person at all. They come to me on their last breath to die, basically. I'm the hospice for plants.
I was going to say you're a hospice
Yeah,
for plants.
I'm the end of life doula for plants. So, so I don't know a whole lot about them, and I don't touch them. My husband takes care of it. I can keep silk plants pretty nice.
Yeah.
So I don't know a lot about the different things. Like when you said I had wild lettuce in a pot, and that's a pain reliever.
Yeah.
I didn't realize. So it has to be a certain type of lettuce, or can I take some romaine out of my refrigerator and rub it on something and relieve pain? I guess.
No. So the name, they call it wild lettuce, but it's not actually a lettuce. It kind of looks vaguely, the leaves kind of look vaguely like dandelion leaves. But there's when you take the leaf and crack it open, there's a white like milky substance in there. And that's what relieves pain. So a lot of people will take the fresh leaves, break them up, and then tincture them. So then they can extract that substance out of them. And that's where they get the pain relieving from. But it's literally just a weed that grows all over the place. So
All right, so next time you're at my house, check for some wild lettuce for my neck
there you go.
pain.
There you go. Yeah.
That's good. I was about to roll around in a bowl of salad. You know, I'm curious. Again, not a question that we had on our list, but I'm curious when you talk about open up your spice cabinet, and I understand the medicinal value for certain spices, oregano, thyme, and things like that. But I also have them in the form of essential oil. Is there a certain point where you prefer to use an oil over the spice, or is the natural plant better to use over the oil? Or
So
just curious.
essential oils I really only use for aromatherapy. That's for, you know, lavender oil to help ease a headache, or, you know, maybe some eucalyptus to open up sinuses, things like that. Essential oils really are just far too concentrated to be used in a medicinal sense, or at least internal, I should say. Um, but as far as like infused oils, now that's a horse of a different color. So like when I mentioned oregano oil, what I meant was I infuse olive oil with oregano, and that's consumable. That you can take. I
Good
also
bread, dip it.
yeah, absolutely, you could do that.
Rub
You
it
know,
on your feet if you
a
have
big
athlete's feet.
Yeah,
Okay.
one of the
Talking
big
about the
tenets of
breath.
herbalism, one of the big tenets of herbalism is using food as medicine. So absolutely, like cold and flu season's coming around, maybe you have some bread with some oregano oil, like it's great for that. And also just I mean, garlic is incredible for that kind of thing because like if I feel a cold coming on, I will take a clove of garlic and I just grate it. And if you let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes, it builds up a compound called allicin. And it's basically a natural antibiotic, antiviral,
Mm,
everything.
yeah.
And I'll mix it in with a teaspoon of honey. It's brutal, but you just down the hatch, do that like 3 times a day, and it always cuts my colds in half.
Yeah. I love how you say it's brutal. It is brutal.
It is, yeah. I mean, because anytime you bruise garlic, that gets that really sharp bite to it. So, like, it could be a little bit like, whoo, to get down, but necessary evil.
Absolutely. Um, how important is intuition when you're working with the herbs, and also like when you're working with the herbs and you're having someone over for dinner? Is there like, do you just choose herbs because you feel like this person, like, is your intuition kicking in while you're cooking and saying, oh, I need to add this because so and so's coming for dinner? Or is all your cooking kind of intuitive driven?
I mean, definitely intuitive driven. I rarely use a recipe in the way that like I'll use one for inspiration. I'll see, something on Instagram pop up across my feed and I'll just, kind of come up with my own way to make it from there. Um, the only time I ever use like hard and fast recipes is if I'm baking. Just
Yeah,
because
yeah, I'm
that's
not
a
a
little
baker
bit more. You
either.
can't really like play and do like, oh, a little bit of that, and a little bit of that.
Yeah,
Can't really
I
do
love
that.
to cook, but I don't bake, so I can empathize with
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
Where
yeah.
this one over
So
here, Miss Lisa, she's a baker.
I do a lot
well,
of baking. Baking's very precise, though. It's very like almost like chemistry. I feel you could take a little bit more leeway and use your intuition maybe more when you cook. You know, make some more savory dishes, add a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You know, that's where you get grandma's recipe of you just add it till it looks right
right, right,
Or
right, right.
smells
Or
right,
like,
or
or
feels
like,
right.
oh, like about that much.
Yeah. Yeah,
Now that being
exactly.
said, when I do bake, I do that. You know, teaspoon
Yeah,
this, I'll pour salt in my hand. That's about right, kind of thing.
yeah.
But technically, baking should be very precise. That's
Structured.
Yeah, the closest I've gotten to baking as of late is I have a sourdough starter now.
Ooh.
So
Everybody's into sourdough.
Well, it's mostly
yeah,
gluten free
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
don't. Do you feed yours regular flour or gluten free flour?
mine's regular, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I like that it's like this it's like this living thing and it just hangs out in my kitchen and I feed it once a day and it's great and it's a way to again, like I feel like sourdough you could be a little bit more loosey goosey with it, like oh well I made this but then I added a bunch of caramelized onions to it. Great. Like it doesn't have to be as like precise as everything else,
Yeah.
at least the way I do it. I know there
Okay.
are some people that they get mathematical and they've got ratios and calculations and they're doing this and doing that. I'm like,
That'd be me.
yeah, no, that's
That would be our Mr. Ryan
Yeah.
if he was to do sourdough. It would all
Yeah.
be by the numbers.
It would be. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
no,
another key to Christmas.
my sourdough is more chaos variety. So,
um, what are some common misconceptions people have about herbalism?
oh boy, um, where to begin on that one? I think the most common one, the most popular one, is usually that we're like anti-vaxxers.
Oh,
um
okay.
that we're very anti-science, that we're kind of or that we reject modern medicine, which is at least in my case and most of the people that I know within herbalism, that's absolutely not true. It's all about balance. If you've got a cold, I got something for you. Like, I'll just whip something up in my kitchen, no problem. If you have pneumonia, please go to the ER. Please.
Mhm.
Like, this is not, it's all about like finding, people are quick to, think that it's all very like earthy crunchy, and it is. There's parts of it certainly. But I'm not a miracle worker. If you need antibiotics, you need antibiotics. Like there's only so much oil of oregano can do for you at a certain point. So
If you're having a heart attack, don't call your naturopath. Go to
please,
the
for the love
hospital.
of God, go to please go to the
Right?
ER.
Yeah.
And then when you're out of the ER and convalescing, then come to me and we're going to talk about things you can do for blood pressure and things that you can do to like improve your cardiovascular health. I'm absolutely down to talk to you about Hawthorne. Like, let's do that. But when you're in crisis, go to the ER.
Yeah, it's interesting we say that because I remember talking during the height of COVID. I remember talking with a bunch of different holistic medicine type people,
Oh, yeah.
all different types of avenues. And there was one woman, I don't know what she did, but she was saying that she had clients that when they had COVID, they came to her and she would be able to put together whatever herbs and she was saving them. And come to find out it was only 2 people.
Yeah.
And I'm saying like this is the wrong message to give in the middle of a pandemic. If you have
Oh,
COVID,
yeah.
go to a doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like if you're testing positive, please go get that checked out.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It was just like I think it is a broad misconception that even most holistic people are anti-science, and that's not true.
Yeah. And I think, I think a lot of us, and I certainly can say that I'm one of them, I was driven to more, to studying more holistic methods of healing, just because I think we've all been in a position where we've been disappointed with Western medicine. Maybe in my case, I think it came from my father having to be treated for liver cancer and all of the horrendous side effects that come with that treatment, which I understand it can't be avoided, but it starts to make you think about like what else is out there? What are your other options and things like that? Obviously if you have cancer, please talk to an oncologist. But yeah, I think, again, everything's about balance, happy to give you a cold and flu remedy, happy to, help you with that persistent cough, but if it's deep in your chest, you have pneumonia, go to the ER.
For sure. All right, I'm curious to know for grounding, protection, peace, emotional healing, what herbs would you typically recommend?
It's so funny you asked this because right now I'm taking an herbalism class with Claire Bonin. I hope that's how you pronounce her last name, on Sacred Rage. If you're not, I've been following her on TikTok for years. If you're not following her, do. She's a witch and an herbalist. And anyway, we did a unit last week on burdock root. And we were asked to make a tea with it, sip it, sit with it, and like see how it felt. And it was so grounding that I could genuinely feel my lungs being pulled down towards the earth. Wow. And it was, and it had such a calming energy. People, when you look at herbs, it's not, calming is not something listed for burdock, but we all in the class were saying, oh my gosh, I feel just like almost like time has slowed a minute and I can take that time to think and like really just breathe a little bit easier. So it was really kind of a cool little like group experiment, I guess. And burdock just has such an elder wisdom to it that I really appreciated. I mean, if you've seen the roots, because you use the roots can get 4 or 5 feet long, just huge. Wow. It's like, yeah. So it was just, and also in a lot of Asian cooking, it's actually used as a food. They chop up the root and they will put it in food. Back to food as medicine. But yeah, that's kind of it. It really has, that burdock root had such a protective, calming, grounding energy that I really appreciated.
Okay, so Em, I got to ask you this question then. For someone like me, who doesn't even know what burdock looks like, Where do you find something like that? Is this where you would step in? You would have those type of teas in your business that could be
I
ordered?
do, yeah, I do have some in my apothecary downstairs. But as far as sourcing herbs, because you want to make sure you're getting them from a reputable place. Because some of them they just don't grow here. Um, but my go-to source for herbs is Mountain Rose Herbs. They're based out of Oregon. They're very transparent about where the herbs come from, their sustainability, that kind of stuff, and they focus on organics. So that's usually my go-to if it's not something I can find locally.
Nice.
If you like what you're hearing and want to check out more podcasts from Artist Haven Media or are interested in recording a podcast at our studio, find out more information by visiting our website at artisthavenmedia.com.
Very exciting. So earlier you mentioned that you collect crystals.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but my question is I saw somewhere about you that you like copper-based minerals.
Oh,
What's that about? Tell me about how you're using copper-based minerals in conjunction with the healing that you're doing with all your food.
so I don't know if I necessarily am having it to do with any of the food, but I mean, I have them all over my house. Right now, I'm building my collection of like malachite, azurite, shadakite, those kinds of minerals. Um, I don't know. There's something grounded and at the same time ambitious in the energy coming from those minerals that I just really appreciate at this time in my life where I'm still trying to build my business and I'm still trying to really solidify my path. And for some reason they've been speaking to me lately. I don't know. I've got a curio cabinet back there with my slowly burgeoning collection. So
Do you have a copper pot that you use to cook with? Do you have coffee mugs like for your tea or coffee?
I don't have a copper pot yet. The only reason being is like copper, you have to be careful with what you cook in it. Especially like cooking really acidic foods like tomatoes and things like that.
Yeah.
It can cause a chemical reaction that you don't want in your food. So, um, copper is more having like I have copper bowls that I have like little crystal tumbles in all over my house. And I have even this little cute copper it's just a little like pomegranate that I
Oh my
got.
God, that's adorable.
I have a little
Love
altar
it.
to Persephone, so I got that. I just thought it was so cute.
I love it.
Um, but I don't typically use copper a lot to cook with, only because of the chemical things. But it looks cool, so I do have it around the house, and I like the color, the warmth of it, and yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
You mentioned grounding, so I'm curious as to what advice would you give someone wanting to start an herbal practice safely at home?
Um, just take the intro class if you can find one. They're not paying me, but Herbal Academy, I mean, their intro class is so in depth and so informative. And they also have an offshoot website called the Herbarium. And it's literally this compendium of every herbal monograph. A monograph is essentially like an information card about an herb. And their monographs are the most in-depth I've ever seen. They even have links to medical studies and medical journals and stuff, so you can really like read up on these like in-depth studies that have been done on them. And they'll also have at the bottom like side effects, like what you should be aware of if there's any kind of like drug interactions, things like that. So that's been really an invaluable resource for me.
And that's
What about
important to
that?
say out loud.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
You need to make sure whatever medications you're taking,
Mhm.
that these are, that they're not going to interact with it, because
Yeah,
some
I
people
mean,
might
one of
take it
my
and have
yeah,
an interaction. So you
I mean,
need to make sure.
one of my favorite herbs, St. John's wort,
Yeah.
taken internally, it interacts with pretty much every drug on the planet. So, um, it's important to be aware of that. But if you use it topically, it's incredible for nerve pain, and doesn't have the same effect.
Right. See, that's important to know. For safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Especially because there's a misconception about St. John's wort that
Yeah.
it's a great antidepressant, like a low dose antidepressant. But she's
Yeah.
right. If you use it topically, it's great for people who've had something I've experienced actually, nerve ending issues with surgery. You want to put that topically on there to help, hint, hint,
Yeah.
to soothe that instead of always having to take that pill, right?
I actually, about a month and a half ago, I sprained the daylights out of my ankle. And the second I got home, of course, we weren't home and I didn't have access to what I have, but the second we got home, I grabbed my bottle of St. John's wort oil and I was just slathering my ankle in it. And it was like incredible how quickly the pain went away.
Followed by a cup of birch tea, right?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
maybe I
and
need the St. John's
so
wort in my neck, not the lettuce.
Not the
Wild
lettuce. I think,
yeah, no, yeah.
well, lettuce will work in the pinch until we can get you the St. John's
There you
wort
go.
oil.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we've been asking other guests this question. Curious to know what your spiritual practice looks like. Do you do certain rituals in the morning versus the afternoon? What do you try to incorporate into your day? Do you have special teas you drink in the morning? Meditations? What does M's spiritual practice rituals look like?
Right now, I actually, about a couple months ago, I've been working on this herbal tea formula. I call it the Divine Feminine. And it is just this blend of, there's a little bit of chamomile in there, but there's Damiana, there's rose, there is motherwort, raspberry leaf, just kind of a whole bunch of different herbs. And it's incredible for hormonal balance. And I like to have that in the mornings, just to kind of take that time to center myself. And I don't do rituals all that often. I feel like because I think about my whole life as being an ongoing ritual.
Yeah.
Like especially and it changes throughout the seasons, just based on what I'm doing and weather. But lately I get up, I take care of my animals, I water my garden. And while I'm watering the garden, I'm talking to them. Sometimes I'm singing to the plants. I'm touching them. I'm making sure that, like, oh, you didn't have that spot yesterday. You know what I mean? And I think just that connection and having my hands in the earth and just really like being present in that moment with life growing is just so like critical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My plants would be screaming, "Get away! Get away!"
No, don't. Oh no, it's Lisa.
Yeah.
I do the same thing. I'm out there every morning talking to him with my little scissors, touching up everybody, just making sure everybody's doing good. And
Yeah, I got
absolutely.
to I have a tomato plant that has exploded this week and I need to get out there and prune it back a bit. But yeah, I have, I don't have a lot of land, and basically a couple of years ago I took a look at I have a little postage stamp of a front yard, and I was looking at it and I was like, the grass doesn't do anything for me and it doesn't do anything for anybody else. But if I just put in a bunch of raised beds on my front lawn, so now my whole yard in the front, I say whole yard, it's like 10 feet by 5 feet. It's just raised beds, and one's full of garlic, another one's full of cayenne. This one's got tomatoes, that one's got some other herbs, and my window boxes are like chives, oregano, dill.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I love the creeping rosemary. I picked some up a couple years ago, and it just keeps growing. It's so awesome, and it's so aromatic versus just the straight plant. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you need some ground filler and you want to do good with that, creeping rosemary will take care of it.
You know what I was really surprised by was I planted chamomile last year, and it's listed as like a tender perennial. And I mean, we had the winter from hell and beyond,
Yes.
and it came back. And not only did it come back, it is spreading
Oh,
quickly. I have a 6.5 foot long bed out there, and it was in the one corner, and I'm finding little sprouts of it coming up on the other side of the bed.
she
So it's
loves you.
yeah. So
Go
I'm
out
like,
there
I
and
was
kiss her
thrilled. I
because
was like,
that's
great.
not normal.
Yeah. I was like, great. Welcome back. Hi.
Very cool.
That's awesome. Um, so if your soul had a signature herb or plant, what would it be?
Oh my goodness. Okay. I would say it's probably a toss up between Rose and Damiana. Um, Rose is so I was given I took an herbalism class a year or so ago, and at the beginning of the class we were assigned an herb, and we were basically told that at the end of the year you have to do a project, completely open-ended, you can do whatever you want. And
Yep.
I remember when I first got Rose, I was honestly a little annoyed. I was like, oh, God, that's so boring. Like that's such a basic, you know what I mean? And then I spent some time with it, and I meditated with it, and I consumed it, and I put it on my skin in different ways. And by the end of it, I was like, oh my God, I needed this so much.
Mm.
And it's an herb for just absolute self-love and healing your heart, and you know making and also opening your heart, but in a way that you're not just giving yourself away. You're doing it in a very conscious way, in a way that you're still protected. Because you think about a rose, the petals are so soft, but it's got those thorns down there in case anybody wants to try anything, right? So it's like I love the balance that it has. Um, and then Damiana is, and I think this probably calls to the Scorpio in me, but it's definitely, it's a bit of an aphrodisiac, and it just has this way of kind of lifting the heart and really kind of opening you to new experiences. So I think that it's definitely a toss up between those two. And oftentimes I'll make a tea with both of them,
Yeah.
and I really like it. I have both of them actually in my Divine Feminine tea for that reason.
Very nice.
Very cool.
Very nice. Do you ever do lotus petals with that, with the roses
You
and the
know, I
damiana?
haven't tried lotus yet.
Oh, it's
I
wonderful.
just because it's tough to find a reputable source for them.
Yes.
It's not easy to come by,
I'll
at
send you
least
mine.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
great.
love
That'd be
using blue
amazing.
lotus petals in my teas. I'll put it in pea flower tea. I put it in my rose tea.
I love pea
It
flower.
doesn't have a strong taste, but it adds that. It just adds that euphoric kind of uplifted.
Mhm.
You can respect yourself kind of moment in the tea.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
I'll send it off to you.
Yeah, that would pair really nicely with the Damiana too.
Yeah, and it doesn't have a strong flavor, so you can put it with anything.
Nice.
Yeah.
So a couple of random questions here.
Sure.
So one question that's also not on here that I just thought of. Have you thought about teaching classes about like creating the teas that you're making or other
Yes.
items that you're making?
You're not the first to ask me. I definitely want to. It's in the pipeline as far as things that I definitely plan on doing. Um, my focus right now is to complete my education, at least the core curriculum of it, and to eventually have a storefront.
Oh, okay.
Um, I'm working towards that. I've been in business now for 3 years. It's definitely in the probably 5-year plan, I would say.
Hmm.
Um, I think once I have a space that I can really dedicate to it, then yes, I think classes will definitely be on the horizon for that.
I think there's a lot involved with that when it comes to food and stuff like or just teas and whatnot. You might have to get involved with like the food administration and
You, yeah,
right, yeah.
yeah.
You can't just
That would
go and open a
definitely be.
shop.
Yeah, yeah. Getting involved with the FDA is
Yeah.
unfortunately the next step there. So.
And are there any strange or funny experiences you've had while working with herbs or spiritual practices?
So not necessarily with herbs, but I did have a kind of funny spiritual incident with Loki that spanned about a year and a half, where it started with a dog. Um, we we adopted this small dog, and from the moment he came into our house, it was just chaos, constant. Nobody was happy. He was going after the cats. He was 12 pounds and literally beating my 100-pound lab into submission. Like, just
Oh
it was
wow.
like never ending chaos with this little dude. And I remember, like, about probably 6 months, maybe 8 months into having him, I was sitting with a friend. We were just talking at the table, and we got talking about spiritual stuff, and someone just casually said Loki, and his head just popped right up, and he looked directly at me. And I thought, that's odd. That's odd. That's weird. And so, like, about 5 minutes later, I tried to do it again. And from a dead sleep, I'm talking, this dog's head shot right up and looked directly at me. And I was like, you are not possessing my dog right now. This is crazy. And so it became this thing where he kind of popped up occasionally in my life at various times. And one time in particular, I things had been kind of thrown into upheaval, which is usually the first sign that he's poking around. And I have a bag of Nordic runes downstairs, and I grabbed them and I said, listen, Loki, if this is you, you're gonna have to show me one of the runes with your name in it, and I reached in and pulled out Lagaz, and I was like, oh my God,
There you
okay,
go.
hi. um it's like, all right, I'm going to take your runes. I'm going to put them under my pillow. While I'm asleep, you're going to tell me what you want, and I will do my best to give it to you, and then we're done. And he was like, okay. So that night, I'm just about asleep, and I just hear the word fun in my head. And I'm like, okay. So I just happened to be going to a concert the next night, and I said, well, that's going to be the fun you get. So I took his runes, put them in my pocket, brought him to the concert. I actually haven't heard from him since.
There you
But
go.
yeah, that was a kind of a funny time, and just random run-ins with him.
Yeah,
awesome.
you mentioned your dogs, and you let us know off air that you spent time working in a veterinary office,
Oh yeah.
and that you're a big animal lover. Do you use your herbs with your animals?
Not yet, but I want to. Especially I have a lab that's older, and he's really starting to get arthritic. And with age, his kidneys can't necessarily handle the drugs to help with the pain. So I'm actually, it's funny you mentioned that. I'm kind of in the middle of, like, researching which ones are safe, and if it's like maybe it's a soak I can do, or just something I can add to his food or something like that. Thankfully he's a lab, so if I put it in his bowl, he'll eat it.
Yeah. Well, I
But yeah,
imagine.
I am working on doing that. And
Well, for
there's a
now,
couple.
make sure you're giving him glucosamine.
Oh yeah, he's been on that since he was pretty much 2 or 3.
There you go.
Because I imagine what you can use for humans, you might not necessarily be able to use for all different
Right.
types of animals. You have to really kind of change it up, and I think that's important to kind of make people aware.
Well, the dosage
Yeah.
changed too, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Dosage
yeah,
for
yeah.
70-pound lab, although my
Yeah.
lab wasn't 70 pounds, but for a 70
Yeah.
pound lab versus a 120-pound person is,
Yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
too.
It's funny too, because when we talk about dogs and how they process medication, sometimes they process it differently and a lot faster than we do. So, like, if your allergies are bothering you, you take one Benadryl. If the way it works in dogs, you actually give them quite a bit more, but it's because they process it better and faster.
Right.
So, and they don't get as, like, zonked out by it like we do. So
Right.
and again, it's different for everything. So
It is. It is. What upcoming projects are you excited about?
well, we're right at the beginning of my busy season, because I'm always at different markets. And I have my regular market that I'm at every Sunday, the Georgetown Farmers Market in Reading. That
Oh,
one just
nice.
picked up. Yeah, that one just started. So I'll be there every Sunday from 10 to 2. And then on my events page on my website lists everywhere else I'm going to be throughout, pretty much through September.
You coming up to the Coventry Farmers Market?
Sorry?
You coming up to the Coventry Farmers Market?
Might be a bit of a hike from Norwalk, but
It is.
yeah. I'm trying to keep things within the like hour kind of, just, especially with the cost of gas.
I don't blame you.
So
blame
right
you.
now, most of my events are Norwalk, Fairfield County. There's a few events towards New Haven, but most of my stuff is kind of around here for now, just trying to
Excellent.
keep it
Well, then it
local.
was lucky that we were able to meet you in Weathersfield, right?
Weathersfield.
Yeah.
Yeah. Weathersfield's right at the like hour limit for me. It's like hour 10, depending on traffic. So I can,
Oh man. So where can listeners find you, support your work, and learn more about you?
I'm on TikTok, Instagram, and all of those. There's links to my website, and like I said, I've got my events page. You can come find me at any of those. And like I mentioned, my Georgetown Farmers Market, I'm there every Sunday from 10 to 2. So
Fantastic.
yeah.
Well, before we say goodbye, we have a ritual here at Ready to Connect where we pick an affirmation. And since the closest we have to a kitchen witch in our group is Miss Heather, why don't you pick it?
All right, this is for us. All right, it says, I am willing to release all fears, worries, and concerns about money, career, safety, and protection. For this, I will be highly rewarded.
Well, there you go. Perfect. Yay. I think all of us need to hear that one.
That's like exactly what I need right now.
Check that out.
Wow.
That's so cool. I love it.
I
Thank
love
you.
it. I love it. Well,
Well,
the pleasure has been all ours.
yes,
Oh my gosh, this has been so great. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for
Yeah.
being with us today. And
We'll have to schedule another one so you can
Oh, for
update us on
sure.
all your recipes.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Thank you.
for all our
All right,
listeners
thank
out
you.
there, we'll be back in your ears next week. Until then, we'll be looking forward to connecting.
Thank you for tuning in to Ready to Connect. If you're interested in exclusive behind the scenes content, be sure to like, share, and follow us on social media by searching for Ready to Connect Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And for those looking to further support our podcast, consider subscribing to our Patreon at patreon.com/readytoconnectpodcast. And until next time, get ready to connect.